our commencement speaker, our friend, United States Senator Mary L. Landrieu.
Graduates, almost 600 strong today of this special year, and the special graduates of 50 years, welcome to you all. And thanks to all of the parents and grandparents and great-grandparents and aunts and great-aunts and siblings and cousins that made this day possible. Graduates, would you give them a round of applause? For that generous introduction, for your leadership for 3 years. Dr. Mason, thank you for your leadership of the system, the faculty, and all the administrators for what we have done together, all of us, for many years to make this university one of the greatest and the only African American university system in our nation. There are many extraordinary graduates today. In fact, each and every one of you, students, has a story to tell. And I would challenge you all to tell your story. And you can do that, you know, on Facebook, on Instagram, on tweeting. And I'm getting there, learning these things that you all do all the time. And you know how easy it is to tell your story. You don't have to be interviewed by the paper, do you? You don't have to have a reporter come to your house. You can tell your story about how you got here, how your parents helped you get here, how your grandparents and what they did to help you receive this degree. And the reason I ask you to share your story is because it will be inspirational to many, many young people and middle-aged people and older people, not just in America, but around the world. Maybe, just maybe, one of these young girls abducted in Nigeria or just trying to go to school could maybe hear a message from you about hope and holding on until we can get our girls returned. Thank your board members for the great work that they have done in very difficult circumstances over the last couple of years to keep the doors of this university open and help flowing to everyone here. I want to thank your chairman, Bridget Debo. I want to recognize all the members of the board and a especially good friend of mine, Myron Lawson, whose son and only son is graduating today. Myron, thank you and congratulations. This morning, I only have a few things that I want to share with you because I know our time is short and it's going to be a long ceremony. But I do want to point out 2 students, 3 actually, briefly, that will be representative, ladies and gentlemen, of the extraordinary effort that many students worked hard to get here, and I hope that you will let me share their stories with you to reflect the great strength of this entire class. There's a young woman in this class who wasn't born here. She was born in Haiti. You saw the article in the paper this morning, Sybil. She graduates today with a 3.6 average, but her journey here was not easy. 4 years ago in Haiti, one of the richest culturally but poorest nations on the earth, a great earthquake happened. It was devastating and she lost almost every single member of her family. But her mother is here with her, Rose May. And her uncle is a professor here that helped her find her way to graduation from a country that was devastated to the warm, embracing arms of Baton Rouge and Southern University. Would you give them a round of applause? Another inspiring story is Lloyd Lewis. Lloyd was a native of New Orleans, the oldest of three. When he was very young, in elementary school, he lost his mother. As we celebrate Mother's Day in 2 days, we all know how hard it would be and is to lose your mother, but to lose your mother in elementary school is particularly devastating. He and his siblings were taken under the wing of a great aunt, and there's took him under a wing, and he went on to Nicholls State University, but then Katrina hit. The family was devastated, lost everything again. Lost your mother, they lost everything. They found their way to Baton Rouge under the guidance of God and this great aunt. They got their financial situation was dire, but he got several jobs to pay for this education. It was tough, and I want to say that his mother died while she was practicing to be a nurse, and she never made it. So the family wanted so much for him to be able to carry on. He had to drop out of school, but he never gave up, and God never gave up on him. Today, he will get that degree. In honor of his mother, that was so close to getting her own when she lost her life prematurely, and he said, Lloyd, it wasn't that he couldn't do the work, he said, but he just had so much on his mind. Now, I would have a lot on my mind, too, if I had lost my parents and everything around me was destroyed. And I wish that our country would understand more deeply and more compassionately. A lot of kids sitting here, and young people and people of every age, have a lot on their mind. They're carrying a lot in their hearts and a lot of challenges. And if we would just help a little bit more, Lloyd's story would be repeated more throughout our country. Lloyd says, sometimes things were so bad, I just wanted to scream, but God never gave up on me. Lights are on and you all are here, that we know that God never gives up on us. And he has been here every step of the way with this extraordinary university for 100 years, and let's give him honor and praise. To point out just a few thoughts that I had about my day yesterday that I think has a lot of meaning for you all, and I'm going to try to do this in about 5 minutes and let us get on with our great ceremony. But Kip Holden knows the mayor, knows my father well, and some of the professors here know my father, Landrieu, who served as mayor of the city in the 1970s, a very tough time, served in the legislature, and was one of the 2 votes against the Jim Crow laws, and people told him his career was finished. He would never go anywhere, but he did. He went on to become a city councilman, he went on to become the mayor, he went on to become the secretary, and actually, for just a brief time in his life, pondered a possible run for president. People encouraged him, but he had 9 children and 9 of us to feed. We didn't have a lot of money, so he went on to do other things. I was with him yesterday, a great treat for a daughter, to be with her father all day. And I asked him to come with me to Washington to help me with something I was working on, and I needed to show some power, and mine wasn't quite enough. And so I asked a few people to join me because I had a special request to the administration. I asked my dad to come up, and he came with me, and my father's now 80 years old, so 84 years old. The graduates of the 50-year class are not quite there, but they will appreciate this. You know, graduates, 100 years seems like a long time to you all. I think you're probably sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, with my father yesterday, and I was thinking about what I would say to you all. I realized that he is only 16 years younger than Southern University. He's 84. And we are together here, you are 100. What has been accomplished in the last 100 years is truly extraordinary. From one building and 47 students and 9 professors and a single grant of $50,000 from a federal government that talked more about equality than it's ever really been able to deliver, but it's always been a principle, even from the founding, not quite embraced completely, but a principle of our country, started this university. And think about the century. Before World War I, before World War II, through the women's suffrage, through the Great Depression, we beat fascism, we beat communism, the Civil Rights Movement, the role the students of Southern played in the great Civil Rights Movement of the day. Graduates, what a century has been delivered to you, and now an African American president of the United States. That is an extraordinary accomplishment. The work still has to be done, but I want the adults in this room and the professors, and particularly the grandparents, who might be in their 80s or 90s, to take a deep breath and thank God for His grace through these 100 years of an extraordinary American century with a lot of pain and a lot of suffering, but tremendous advancement. And for these children, these young people of various ages to have this degree, I challenge you all to build even a greater century. Think about what has been handed to you this last 100 years and the effort that was made. The question to you is, will you build a stronger century the next 100 years? Let us begin today. I am in Washington with President Obama and with members of the Senate and the House fighting for equal pay, still, for women and for minorities. We are still fighting for affordable education and health care. Many graduates today, I have news for people that might not have ever taken out a loan. Many of these graduates are graduating with $40,000, $50,000, and $60,000 in debt just to get this diploma. We want kids graduating with less debt and more promise and more ability to get ready and to increase their economic impact. We are fighting for greater access to home ownership and entrepreneurship opportunities. So the battles go on, and we have so much before us. But when we look back at what Southern University's system in all of its many aspects, the early engineers, the mathematicians, the philosophers, particularly the lawyers who stood strong against injustice and very poor, parts of the Constitution, and threw out laws, separate and equal, and many other laws that helped move this movement in our country forward, and integrated the armed forces and integrated our schools, and that work still goes on today. So spending that day with my father yesterday and sitting next to him on the plane coming home when we landed at midnight last night from Washington, I was thinking about when he was born and what the world looked like then, and how much better, more hopeful, more happy, more prosperous it looks today. And in large measure, the dreams and aspirations and conviction and passion of building a better world that has been built came out of institutions like Southern. I wish that more leaders in our state understood this, but you can count on the Landrieu family to know it, believe it, and to stand shoulder to shoulder to fight for it for the next 100 years. God bless you all, and happy birthday. Dr. Mason to come forward. I'm not going to read this entire proclamation, but in the Senate of the United States, in the Congressional Record, is an honor for Southern University as it celebrates its 100th anniversary. Established March 9, 1914 on the bluffs of the Mississippi River, the university opened its doors outside of Baton Rouge with 9 professors, 1 building, and 47 students. Ladies and gentlemen, look where we are today. Southern University system, but literally internationally known and loved. We passed this resolution on the Senate floor, and for all the music and inspiration and the human jukebox that we will always remember, it's going to be all right. Let's just make it right. Can we give a standing ovation to Isaac Greggs?